So these are the ingredients, and then like this flour looks like just one type of flour, but like she actually well mixed the blended the semolina flour and udon flour at 1-to-1 ratio, like so 50% semolina flour, 50% udon flour. Okay, and there's salt, olive oil, water. These are the liquid ingredients. Okay, right. So we have this machine over here. We are calling it Rичмен 1 machine, and this machine is C certified, so like it's ready to be used. Like it's like ready to like start making mochi pasta in EU countries. And so first she put the solid ingredients first, like just without any liquid, and she's like start rotating the mixer. Um, Purpose of this process is that like air mixing is that like we want to like kind of get some like air into the flours as well as like we want to like break any chunks of like flour like dough I mean flour into small pieces, right? And then while we're doing that, like she maybe is so put the salt in it and then thoroughly dissolve into the water. Okay. So salt, this like helps develop the gluten, right? And also like adds taste, like salt taste to the pasta. And like she put the olive oil like directly into the solid ingredients first, and then adding the water with the salt dissolved in it. So mixing is very important, to build uh, good gluten structure inside dough like mochi pasta, and so rotational speed of this mixer is like 60 rotations per minute. This is ideal rotational speed for pasta and other types of noodles. And we can't, but like we can't like keep watching the mixer forever. So she prepared the dough in advance, exactly the same recipe, right? And so gonna go into the next process, like we call like rough forming. So we're making just a rough sheet of dough sheet, and so by feeding this crumbled dough like into the set of rollers that's set to certain roller gap. So there are two rollers, right? And then like you can control the one of the rollers to adjust the like roller gap between them. And so with this kind of like hydration ratio dough, we can start from like 1.5 millimeter. So the roller gap like that's set between like these two rollers like is 1.5 millimeter, and so she's feeding the dough to make sheet of dough that's 1.5 millimeter in thickness. So even though it's like she didn't add any eggs, the color is like already white. I mean, a bit yellowy because of the semolina flour. So like keep feeding the dough to the roller in it and to make rashido dough. And as I said, like so higher the hydration ratio, so the softer the dough texture, and um, the higher the hydration, like actually the more important the resting process is. So we basically rest the dough um, to remove like all the gas, like the the stuck like in between, like air pockets, like that are stuck in between the inside dough, and then to inside it's called degassing, and then like we are also like activating the enzyme of like wheat flour, which which promotes the like wheat flavor, right? And then and it's called like resting process. So like all these like tensions that are like built up, like from the mixing process, and then all these like kind of sheeting process. We are kind of like easing the tension of the dough. So that's a resting process, and like this is important. Without it, like like gluten inside dough is it may be like damaged, and so that's like kind of undermines the building like good gluten structure. So we need to do the resting process, and then the most important resting process is right after the mixing. So as you saw, she had the dough in the plastic bag, right? And then just let it sit at room temperature for some amount of time. That's how you do it. And so the next process is we call compounding process. So she's basically separating this dough into two sheets, right? Two separate sheets, and then combining them into one through the roller gap. So so the dough is coming out, right? Like so basically that's this combined dough. It's coming out, and then its dough texture is like firmer, like stronger, and gluten is more stronger, right? And then actually the surface, right? The dough surface like smoother as well. So we need to do this process in order for us to build this dough texture for great foundation like for mochi pasta texture. And at the roller gap, I forgot to mention that, like she said, was like 2 millimeter, and we usually apply this like rule, like 30% reduction rule, and every round of sheeting, like we reduce the roller gap by 30% from the previous round of sheeting. But like the combine when we're doing like on this combining process, like because we are actually like combining two separate sheets, each of which is a previous like roller gap, like previous thickness. So the previous thickness was like two, right? Previous thickness two, and so like two plus two, like that's four. So the there's like equivalent like 4 millimeter thickness dough is like going through the roller. So that's 4 millimeter. So 30% reduction would be like 2.8 millimeter, but like to make it simple, we run it up to 3 millimeter. And from this point on, we want to start dusting the flour, dusting the dough to keep it from sticking. Because this dough is kind of considered kind of higher end of like kind of medium hydration ratio pasta. So you need to dust it to keep it from sticking. And you can actually adjust the amount of dusting as well. Like, so if it's wetter, higher hydration, um, you need to dust more. So you can adjust the amount of dusting to dust more. And so after the second combining process, like, so all you have to do is just thin it to the final thickness because the dough texture, the gluten structure inside dough is complete, built, thoroughly built. So all you have to do is just thin it to the final thickness. So while we're sheeting, right, like I just want to talk a bit about like what we are doing like in the next class, like that's next week, next Thursday. So we are doing so this is a machine like this is like for ramen noodles, like typically considered like low hydration noodles, like low to medium hydration noodles. So this machine is better at like making noodles that are like low, high, I mean the medium hydration ratio noodles, like hard noodles. And but like so we did a lot of class like using this machine previously, and so but like we feel like it's time for us to like kind of start showing off like some of our um, noodle machines that are like better at like making higher hydration noodles. So it's like so next class like what we're doing is that like we're gonna want to show you guys our udon machine and then how it can be used to make a variety of products, variety of noodles, and then at the same time you can learn about high hydration noodles and all these like kind of like wheat-based products that are like high hydration. So it's a very good it's gonna be a very good class that you can learn a lot about high hydration products. So after it's going through the roller gap like 1.5 millimeter, we want to check the actual thickness. That's about like 1 to 1.9 ish, right? So there's a difference of like 0.4 millimeter, right? And so that actual thickness is always bigger than the roller gap we set because the like it's dough like made up like wheat, so it bounces back after it's gone through the rollers. And so there's a zero point 0.4 difference, millimeter difference. So that gives us the hint as to like how what the roller gap that we need to set to get the final thickness. And so kind of cut I'll be using for mochi pasta. And this is a kind of round shaped cutter. It's number 18, which is like about like 2 millimeter in width. Okay, it's a round shaped cutter. Uh, And this one is the square shape cutter. It's number 10. Number 10, which means that like it's each groove is 3 millimeter in width. So to make like kind of same thickness, same width, we use this round cutter. It's round cutter, so like each groove is like 2 millimeter in width, and so like the thickness is basically determined by the roller gap, right? Roller gap we set, and width is determined by the like each groove of this cutter that we use. So when we are cutting, this dough again goes through the roller gap, so it gets thinned, and then goes into the cutter. And we set the machine to cutter mode to start cutting, right? Set the cutter mode and start cutting, and then so the mochi pasta is coming out, um, and what you can do like with this machine is that like you can also like control the length of the noodles or length of noodles. What do we want to do though, right? What do we want to do that is that like we want to control length of noodle to control the serving size. So basically, the longer the length, the bigger serving size. So you can make it shorter to have like small serving size, or you can make it longer to have bigger serving size. So it's totally up to you to to make your serving size in this machine, right? So that's one type of mochi pasta. So if you see this mochi pasta like in a kind of cross section of it, you can see that it's round, but like it's more like an oval shape. So I'm talking about like pasta, such pasta like spaghetti. You use this type of cutter. And number 18 is relatively big for uh, spaghettini, but we want to like for mochi pasta, like we want to go on the bigger side, to for our customers to feel more like mochi kind of texture. So and another one we want to do is that like we want to cut it with number 10 cutter square. That's 3 millimeter in width. So each noodle strand is going to be like 3 millimeter in width. Okay, and yeah, so typically like you can make it like kind of rectangle shape. This one, or like like you can make it even thinner, like to make it kind of flat noodles. So it's up to you. And then of course the noodle texture be like different, but you have to think about like the cooking time. So if you make it like of course like bigger size, like cooking time is longer, and these are gonna be like basically like flat noodles. So you can think of it as like some like a fettuccine kind of pasta, mochi pasta. So that's how we make like mochi pasta like from scratch. And two types of mochi pasta, one flat, one round, like spaghetti, and these are very, very good, like very good noodle texture, and because we used like 50% semolina flour, 50% udon flour, it's got this kind of a pasta-like texture, like when we bite in them, but like at the same time, like when we kind of start chewing them, then we get this like chewy texture like mochi. Chief instructor of our school, Mr. Ikeda. So he's gonna show us a few examples of mochi pasta dishes today. So thank you, Mr. Ikeda. All right, so let's see what we have over here. So we're gonna do like a cold pasta and warm pasta dish. Okay. Okay, first like we do the cold pasta and like so making the sauce for the cold pasta. These are chopped scallions. So put them in the bowl. This is a ground ginger. Just proper amount of each. So we have olive oil in it, in a saucepan. And then we need to like heat it up like until like we start seeing some smoke out of it. And yeah, once it's heated, like we'll pour the olive oil into the bowl. And then by adding this like hot oil into the ingredients, we are kind of like generating some like flavors of each of these ingredients. Yeah, so like as much smoke as like we are seeing now, like maybe like 80 degrees Celsius, like 200 degrees Celsius. And then just kind of stir it. And when I season them, season it with salt and sugar. So we're gonna actually add it to the pasta. Like we need to season it sufficiently. So we just made it like so it's pretty hot, but like you can actually chill it and then like it lasts like for few days in the fridge. So let's start cooking the pasta. So we're gonna serve it cold. So we want to cook it longer than usual, because when we chill the pasta, like the noodle texture gets hardened. So we usually when we are serving like cold noodle dish, we cook the noodles longer than if we are cooking it for like hot soup noodles dish.
茹で上がったものはしっかり洗って、ぬめりを取ったものを、このソースですね。
So after we cook them, right, and we're gonna wash them to sort of like get rid of starch of the surface noodles, surface the pasta, and then chill them, and then place them onto the plate, right, and then add the sauce, I mean the oil.
で一緒に乗せるものですね。こちらが鶏肉になるんですけども、鶏肉ですね。
So for the toppings, this is the like chicken breast.
こちらは低温調理で柔らかく火を通したものを手で裂いたものですね。
So it's a chicken breast that's like cooked at the room temperature, and we kind of make them like put in a small piece like by hand.
こちらトマトのソースです。フレッシュトマトを刻んで調味料で和えたものですね。
So this is a tomato sauce like that. We just chop them up, tomatoes, and then just season it.
こちらを合わせて麺と合わせても作っていきます。
So we just mix them up together with the mochi pasta.
はい、では麺が茹で上がりますので、茹で出していきます。
Okay, so the pasta is done. We're gonna take it out, and I'm gonna have to wash it in the sink to remove the starch of the noodle surface, because we want to have like kind of smooth noodle texture, so we want to like kind of clean, smooth noodle texture, pasta texture. So want to get rid of the starch as much as possible. So once the like water is clear, right, then the starch is gone. So and then want to make sure that to like kind of squeeze the water out. Squeeze the water out to not to like dilute the sauce, right? Okay. Okay, so let's plate it.
ではこちらに、鶏肉ですね。鶏肉も一緒に入れてしまいます。はい、
So put the chicken in there. Chicken breast, like just send them out, and then like sauce. We call like negi, ginger, olive oil sauce.
今温かいですけども、実際冷えてるやつを入れていただくとより、冷たい状態で提供できます。
It's a bit warm now, but like we probably should like chill it and then add it to the mochi pasta before then just stir it well.
全体のソースの量を見ながら食べていただいて。
And if it's not enough, like just add more. Okay, so let's plate it. It was a little bit too much for the bowl, but this small plate, but so when plating, like we always like kind of make it higher, right? Kind of like make it like a mountain, and just have some height to it. And
あとですね、最後は、
lastly, like we will add this tomato sauce, like on the side. So that's called mochi pasta dish. Okay, so let's start with the warm mochi pasta dish.
では、ソースの方から作っていきますね。
So let's start like with the sauce first.
あと鍋の方にですね、オリーブオイルを入れます。はい、
So first we pour the olive oil.
今日はチリソースですね、みたいなものを作るんですけども、
And so today, like I'm making like chili sauce.
まず豆板醤ですね。はい、
This it's like kind of Chinese like seasoning that we use like.
はい、あとはネギと生姜、ニンニクと生姜です。
And then I use the garlic and ginger.
はい、ニンニクと生姜を適量入れます。はい、ですね。
Garlic and ginger, just kind of proper amount, like each.
ここでしっかり炒めて香りを出していきます。
And so we're gonna stir fry them and bring the flavors, each ingredients.
で、ヤクルト、豆板醤の香りがしてきたところで、ケチャップを入れます。
So when you start smelling the like flavors, like all these ingredients, we'll add like just a bit of like ketchup.
で、ここでもさっと炒めます。
And we're gonna stir fry it like that's a little bit.
で、一沸きしたらスープを入れます。
And then when you start like kind of boiling up, right, like we add like
今回鶏のスープですね。
the broth. This is chicken broth.
で、ここに塩とか砂糖を入れてですね、味を整えていきます。
And I'm gonna add like salt and pepper to just a taste. で、この状態で、冷やしておいておいてもらえば、こちらも2、3日持つので、この状態で、とりあえず閉じておいてもらったら結構。はい、 And if you like store it like in this condition, like you can keep it like for few days. So this is the sauce like in this first form. You can keep it in this condition for a few days.
はい、では、麺の方ですね、入れていきます。
Okay, so let's cook the mochi pasta for this dish.
で、こちらを入れてきたハーブです。
This is a 3 minutes cooking this pasta. So this is a flat one we made. So that's in times 3 minutes.
で、実際にですね、もしお店でこういうことされる場合は、こちらのソースを冷やしておいておいてですね、で、準備するものとしては、こちらの方に。
So let's say that you are serving this dish like at your restaurant, and so you prepare the sauce, right? And then you need to prepare like all these ingredients.
まあ、麺を入れている間に、まあ、エビとかですね、処理してこちらでチリソースを作ってしまって、まあ、茹で上がったものにかけてという。
So when while we're cooking the pasta, mochi pasta, right? We're gonna cook these ingredients in the sauce, and yeah, and then like to finish off this sauce.
で、エビに関しては、これ下味をまあ入れてます。お酒とか塩とか入れて味をつけてます。
So these prawns, like I added, like season them like with sake and then salt.
さっと茹でます。はい。
So I'm gonna boil them quickly, kind of do the
少
quick
しで
boil.
炊くので、表面の色が変わる程度で大丈夫です。
So I'm gonna cook them again, like with the sauce. So like just as soon as the color is red, then it's ready.
そしたらソースの中にですね、トマトですね。
So
フ
like
レッシュなトマト。
diced tomatoes, fresh
ま
tomatoes,
ずエビですね。はい。
and
そ
the
れを入れ
prawns.
て、一度沸騰させます。
So putting them in, like we're gonna bring it to boil.
で、一度沸騰させて味を確認しましたら、ネギを入れてとろみをつけていきます。
And once it's start boiling, and then I'm gonna add the leeks, chopped up leeks, and then I'm gonna make it kind of viscous by adding the starch.
はい。味もしっかりしているので問題ないので、ネギを入れていきますね。はい。
Okay, so the taste is good. So I'm gonna add like chopped up leeks.
ざっくりこれですね。と
And
ろみをつけます。
so, so this is the starch like that's added with that with like water added to it, and then I just want to make it like kind of viscous.
入れたらしっかり返しますね。 はい、出来上がりです。
Okay, so the sauce is finished. I see that like it's kind of getting sticky, right?
じゃあ、もう一個。パスタがですね、茹で上がりますので、美味しくしていきます。
So the mochi pasta is done. So it's plated.
そのままされますけど、どうしてもくっつきやすいので、今日は、ちょっとニンニクを揚げたオリーブオイルで揚げたオイルですね。こちらでちょっと絡めてから器に盛ります。
So we can just plate it like by itself, like as much possible. Like I wanna keep them from sticking. So I'm adding like olive oil with garlic. So like this like a flavored oil with the garlic in it.
そうやってニンニクのいい香りがします。
Garlic flavored olive oil. And I want to add the sauce. And I want to add like a bit of like basil on top. And I'm just gonna add like powdered cheese and sprinkle them. And then so that's done. So this is a like warm mochi pasta dish with a chili sauce, prawn chili sauce. Okay, thank you, Mr. Caro. Okay, these like really look really great on there. Like I wish you guys were here, right? Like to try them. They taste amazing.